Bannitime Foods here, and I'm going to show you guys how to do salsa. Just very simple, basic, very tasty salsa. If you've ever wanted to impress your friends or just want salsa around the house, just buying a few basic ingredients and just always having these around the house, particularly for a lot of other ingredients. You can always make a salsa if you wanted to, just buy extra tomatoes. That's usually what I have to do, is just buy extra tomatoes. So I'm gonna make myself some juice here because I'm going dry. I've been drinking a lot in this COVID time, so just drinking juice now. Kind of like when I was little, the frozen juice packs. Right to it now. So I have here 3 pounds of tomatoes, Romas, a whole bushel of cilantro, half a bushel of parsley, 1 can of tomato sauce, and yes, that is my secret. That'll make a huge difference. I know what you're saying, and this will make a difference. It makes a little bit of that in-between area fill up. So this is very good, very important. That's the most important part of my salsa. I like the tomato sauce. Also, green onion, red onion, a full one. We'll do probably 3 of these. I'll probably, depending on the ratios and whatnot. And I usually like to chop my tomatoes first because that gives me a judgment on how much of everything else to use. So I'll chop the tomatoes first and then I'll go down the order from there. But like I said, tomatoes, Roma, cilantro, parsley, green onion, red onion, serrano pepper, regular lime. So let's get to it. I have my tomatoes here, just chop the top off. You can use the seeds if you want. I like to discard the seeds, so the way I chop is I just spin the tomato around like so. And I just take that center out of there. And then I just take the seeds and you just scrape the seeds out. So that one's done. So basically what I'm gonna do here is make myself a little system next to the trash. So that's what your tomato wants to look like. Chop the top, chop the bottom, spin it around, get that center out, and just flick that out with your thumb there like that. Kind of shake it a little bit. Next one, chop, chop. And you can use the seeds. A lot of authentic recipes use all of everything. They use everything of, you know, whatever. Mush it all up in a moltejeca, whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. It's all, salsas are different in everyone's house. Me, I just like to taste the flesh of the tomato, and the seeds are a little bit bitter. They have a lot of tannin, but also they have kind of like a woody flavor, so you never know. I mean, they're good and they're bad, but I just like to have them out because it also gets a little bit, it makes your salsa a little wet. So we'll just take those out like that. The middle, back to it, top, bottom, center. And about 3 pounds of tomatoes here. Just chopping those centers out. And I usually like to make a lot of salsa ahead of time because the longer it sits in your fridge, the better it gets. So as long as you don't eat it all by the end, I mean, it'll be good about a week after you make it. And you can put it on anything. Put it on the eggs in the morning, put it on tacos, eat it with chips at night. It's a perfect little thing you can just grab. Everyone loves salsa, you know, especially when it's fresh made at the house. It's the first thing you grab when you get back to the house. Hey, I got salsa, we'll just pop that out real quick and we'll munch on that. So 3 pounds of tomatoes, I'm just rolling it out, getting those centers out. Get my trash here. And what I do is I'll just grab all this and just flick it right in there. Or just have a trash handy here. Just flicking the seeds out of these. You don't have to be perfect with getting all the seeds, just trying to get, you know, majority of them here. If you miss some, that's fine. You want to grab tomatoes that are really firm. These tomatoes are really, you could tell how firm they are just by the way it goes back like that. You really want the freshest tomatoes possible, because what makes a salsa really, really good is a really, really fresh ingredients. So when you're choosing your ingredients, it's very important. It's a very simple recipe, but it's very crucial that you choose the right ingredients. And I'll go through each one at a time. So this tomato here, chop, chop. I like mine pretty thin. You gotta get I sharpened my knife before this, obviously, so I can cut through it like this. And I'll just delicately chop, chop. Don't have to be perfect, just get it, I like it fine, so. And we'll just toss that into there like that. And once I get chopped with these, I'll get back to you guys. Bannitime Foods here, and I just got done chopping the 3 pounds of tomatoes here. Just chopping up this last one here. Like I said, I took the seeds out of it, and I just like to chop it fine, because I imagine it's going on a chip. So I sharpened up my knife to get it fine as I can here. And there's that. So that's 3 pounds of de-seeded Roma tomatoes right there. What I'll do is I'll just wipe the cutting board. It gets kind of fleshy with the tomatoes. So I now can judge my entire salsa because it's majority tomatoes. So now I can judge how much of everything else to put in here. So I'll go with the onion next, since this makes a big mess on everything. So chop the end off, chop it in half, root side. I chop the end off and I put it down like this so I have something flat to chop. Right here, I put my hand on it to get a start, and then I go through it so you don't roll, you're not rolling around with an onion, chopping your hand off that way. Just take a first, a good first layer off. Wipe it so it's not slimy and slippery. And you want to chop this as fine as possible. So I'll just go ahead and do little lines like that. Just little as possible. And that's why you should have a pretty sharp knife when you're doing this. And when I get to this side, I move my hand because I ain't no dummy. I don't want it to slide on me, so I do that. And then I go ahead and just do 2, actually 3 on this one, or 4, however much you can do if you have a sharp knife. So now it's fanned out. So now I can just chop this up super fine. Getting that as super fine as possible. My eyes are already crying. I'm already crying. Ah! Give me 1 sec. Okay, sad story. Watch your fingers here, especially when your eyes are crying. This should be good. All right, so we're judging. Bannitime Foods here. So I chopped up half an onion here. And like I said, don't be a dummy and cut your hand. Well, I went ahead and cut mine real quick, so. First ever time on video cutting my hand. Kind of played it off a little bit, but it started bleeding there on me, so I had to take a pause and put a Band-Aid on it, so. Be careful. Okay, especially when you're making salsa, I sharpen my knife like you wouldn't believe when I make salsa, so I can just shred through everything with minimal effort, you know, so. All right, half an onion there, 3 pounds of tomato. That, it depends on how much onion you like. That looks like it's a pretty sufficient amount of onion. I kind of like that amount, so we'll work with it. All right, cilantro, just cut it right at the bushel right there. Put it in the ground, root it, do whatever you want. I just toss it. Now you just take this and roll it. Just roll that, and then you just ride it. Just like that, and then I go lengthwise. I usually do salsa in like 10 minutes. You can take your time doing all this stuff. Crack a beer, put some music on. Do what you gotta do, you know? I got other things I gotta do, so I just wanna show you guys how to do this nice and fast. Just kind of scooping all that. All right. That should be good. Put that in there. Straight from the board here. Wiping hands as we go. Next up is parsley. This is another fresh aromatic. You'll see me putting parsley in a lot of things because we're growing it out there in our garden now that we just put up. And I actually use parsley for almost every single recipe I use parsley. Just because it's so fresh tasting. It's just, man, just the smell of it makes me excited. It goes into everything. I mean, if you're doing cod and you just cook cod and just put a shit ton of parsley with it and heavy cream, and that cod will taste delicious over rice or over potatoes. It just makes everything taste fresh and delicious. So chop that up nice and fine. And they say it has like 3 times the nutrient density of kale or something like that. It's more nutrient dense than kale. So hey, you know, you do the math there. Eat kale or just put parsley and everything. I do the parsley one. Kale tastes like bug spray. Okay? No haters. Okay, that's in. Wipe this as we go so we don't look like a slop. Wipe it into your hand here. You're probably gonna make a mess when making salsa like me, so that's okay. And we got green onion here. I got 4 green onion. So I'll just chop it in half like that. And then I already broke the ends off with my hand, so I'll just chop this up as fine as I can. You want this to be real fine. But you want them to have a good presentation too, so don't mince them into mush. Keep the integrity of it. Keep that round kind of green onion aspect of it. Just chopping that up. Then I'll just go to these. A couple of big ones are fine. It's a rustic salsa. It's not a 5-star Michelin. Everything is 4mm, 3mm salsa. This is just, you cut it at your home salsa. Just don't cut your hand. That's all, like me. Okay, get into the whites there. Save these whites. Save these. And I'll show you why. Because in this jar, you see how much new growth I have? That was like this in the beginning. So I'll just drop all those right into there. And we'll save all these for later. And they'll grow up. Okay, so that's in. Green onion in. And these are serrano peppers. The reason why I'm using serrano peppers instead of jalapenos is because I feel like they have more of a peppery flavor. They're a little bit more spicy and they're just more palatable, I think. I think they have more of a concentrated flavor. Whereas I think jalapenos are good for poppers. So stuff them with cream cheese and put bacon around them and put them on the grill. I think that's like really good for jalapenos. But for salsa, I like to use like habaneros or serrano peppers. And I'll just chop them up as fine as I can. So I'll do them like matchsticks like this. Seeds and everything. Because I like a spicy salsa. And the thing is, if you don't have it spicy, everyone will eat it off the table and it'll be gone. It's like a freaking tomato sauce, or it's like a pizza sauce. So you got to get it spicy. So it's like, you know, you take it in doses. Ears are popping. It's real nice. It's what you want. You can't be a wuss around here, especially in Arizona. Like our pepper's hot over here. So I'm just gonna chop all those up with all the seeds in it. Because I like the heat. We'll take all that, those matchsticks, and we'll turn them around this way. And then I'll just go ahead and chop, chop, chop. And all the capsaicin is in the seeds. The capsaicin is the hot stuff, so if you're chopping seeds up, they're only gonna get hotter, so you could scoop the seeds out and put them in there, but you know, chopping them up is only gonna make it hotter too, so. You could do gloves while you do this. That would be smart. I typically have these black gloves, but I'm just gonna wash my hands. But before I wash my hands, I'll probably wipe my eyes too, so, you know. So those are in. So we have limes here. And I got a fancy tool I like to use with my limes. And what you could do with your limes is you could take the pith off, just that zest part. You can use that for drinks, for margaritas, for everything else. You could candy it, make lime soda. I mean, you could throw it in your Coca-Cola. You could put it into a CO2 whipped cream container with alcohol, and then you can go ahead and infuse your alcohol by putting the alcohol in there and then putting this peel in the whipped cream container and compressing it for 7 minutes, pouring it out. Then you have infused alcohol. You can make candy. You can do a lot of things with this. So just before you think about just, oh, cutting the lime, it's green, this is a valuable resource on all citrus. So just be sure. The white stuff you don't want though. So be sure you can use that on a lot of things. But right now, it's not gonna be used. I'm just gonna use it for salsa. So I'm gonna roll it out like this. Take all my limes, roll it out. I'll only do 3 right here. I do 1 lime per pound of tomatoes. So I'm doing 3 pounds of tomatoes, so I'm gonna do 3 limes. So I rolled it out. I'm gonna cut them in half. Okay. Just gonna spin them on this here fancy device thing. Like I said, I'm just gonna make the salsa as quick as I can because I'm hungry for it. Twist it around. When choosing limes, the best limes are, they got a thin and shiny skin. If you take a lime and it feels like it's hard and it's like thick skin, notice that it's shiny and it's very squishy. When it's shiny and it's squishy, that's how you know that it's a good lime. It's got a thin skin, it's got a lot of juice in it, it'll be tasty and sweet. Whereas sometimes if you get the harder limes that look like they got dinosaur skin on it, they don't have as much moisture inside and you kind of get upset because you paid for that. So just go for the thinner, shinier citrus. That goes with oranges as well. All right, so getting these in here like that. All of those are juiced up. And I'll take that and I'll use that that flesh in there. So just kind of judge it. That looks like it should be pretty good right there. I'm not gonna use all of it because it looks like that should be enough. Go over here, grab some salt and pepper. And you can always add salt, but you can never take it away. So be sure that you are very careful with how much salt you add. I do like a lot of salt, so I'm gonna start off with a very good amount. Put my pepper here. About 20 cracks, or 22, because that's my fiance's favorite number. Or number 2 is, but makes it easy. All right, and last but not least, the tomato sauce. Very important, because this is gonna fill the void of everything else. So it's also gonna give it really nice flavor. And I found it just makes it taste really nice. So I'll add that in there. It's gonna fill the void for us. We're gonna go ahead and just toss it around, and the salt will leach out a lot of moisture too, so it looks a little dry right now, but trust me, give it about an hour and you'll see a lot of juices in here because of that salt drying everything out. You could go ahead and process this in a food processor to make it restaurant style. You could keep it chunky like this. You could add another thing of tomato sauce if you want. Add more lime, more salt. But that's your standard salsa recipe right there. And it looks like I hit it pretty good on the nose with the lime and salt, because I've made it a bunch of times. And you could also put shrimp in there for ceviche, whitefish. I mean, this could be anything. So there it is, friends. Bannitime Foods, and that's salsa. Have fun, cook on. And thanks for watching.